Welcome back everyone, it's Mead here. Today we're going to review all of the world records set in April 2019. We have another active month to review of 10 total world records across 6 unique tracks. Let's get started. Kicking things off on the first day of April, we have Vincent reclaiming Wario's Gold Mine No Glitch, beating the former world record by Luke by only 5 milliseconds with a time of 1:50,700. Vincent has been grinding diligently on his live streams throughout the entire month of April, and he actually improved one more time later on in the month on April 27th by 4 milliseconds with a time of 1:50,696, the very first 150.6 on Wario's Gold Mine No Glitch. The last 3 world records on this category on this track are only separated by 9 milliseconds in total, so I felt it was only appropriate to compare all 3 of them together currently. What's fascinating to me now is that where the current world record is at versus what the sum of the best known splits total, the difference is only 158 milliseconds. On a track that's almost 2 minutes long, and definitely not linear like let's say Luigi Circuit or Mario Circuit 3 in comparison. It's really insane that this track is at this level of optimization at this point. And if you're curious, a very new spreadsheet that's very easy to read of all the best known splits across all categories and all tracks are linked in the description below if you want to check that out. At this point, the very small details, the very small nuances will definitely add up to make the difference at this point, such as just very minor adjustments in your wheelie, of course on any point of the track, but that's mostly happening on this alignment into where you're ending into the minecart section until the ending cave on the left hand side, as well as some unfortunate bounces when you actually land from the track onto that little left route over there. I think it's going to be just ridiculously hard for anyone to hit a 150.5, which I personally feel right now, unless a new strategy is found and is being used, that's currently what I feel the human limit is going to be for a while. All in all, great job Vincent, congrats on your improvements. Next up, we have an improvement on Grumble Volcano Glitch, where American player Fizz got his very first world record with a time of 18:030 on April 2nd. Fizz had a very commanding pace into lap 3 and ended up not utilizing the ending drift technique into the finish line. Now, I'm still not really too sure how much the drifting technique at the end saves. Overall, I do think it saves a decent amount, but the way Fizz did his ending was also very clean as well. The best known splits with the Quacker strategy currently gives a total of 16,401. Now almost a second of time save is coming from how long you're being stuck on the rock before you have momentum to start the rest of your lap 1, as we're seeing in these previous world records here. It seems both that beginning clip and doing that drifting technique at the end of lap 3 are the 2 remaining major time saves for further improvements here at this point. All in all though, it's still pretty bizarre watching this record, to be honest. Congrats on your first world record, Fizz. Moving on, we had 2 improvements on DS Delfino Square. Luke first sets a time of 2:04,385 on April 4th, and exactly 1 week later, on April 11th, he improves by nearly 0.1 with a time of 2:04,296. I thought the ghost comparison between both of Luke's improvements was fascinating and I wanted to show it to you all. This is from the perspective of Luke's 2:04,296. As we can see here, both ghosts were very nearly level into the very end of lap 3 after the bridge. And what's quite apparent here is that Luke lost nearly 0.1 at the slip drift in the 2:04,385 versus his 296. And again, this is another track where the difference between the current world record and the sum of the best known splits is very bizarre, with only 142 milliseconds of difference. Now, I'm not super advanced at DS Delfino Square personally, but at least from my perspective, it really seems that a realistic human maximum with the current strategies used will be a sub 2:04,250. I think that's reasonable. To the maximum, I'm really seeing just a 2:04.1, like a very high 0.1. And that's basically going to require, at this point, all 5 chain wheelies, both very low bridges on laps 1 and 2, 3 out of 3 slip drifts in the housing section, of course overall just very precise cornering and main turbo speed, and optimizing the slip drift at the end of lap 3. The activity at the top of DS Delfino Square has been nuts this month. I just wanted to highlight a little bit of it. On April 4th, on the same day that Luke got his 2:04.385, I think only 3 or 4 hours later, previous world record holder Sword improved upon his previous world record time to a time of 2:04.408. And Sword improved to a time of 2:04.392 just 2 days before Luke had his next improvement on April 11th. The activity here has been nuts, and I'm sure we're going to be having another improvement at some point in the near future. Congrats on both of your improvements this month, Luke. I hope you guys like glitches, because we had more glitch improvements this month. Heading back now to Mushroom Gorge, where we had a monster of an improvement from Bryce. Bryce improved upon his own world record by over 1 second, 44 milliseconds, with a time of 21.355 on April 7th. Later on in the month, Idris would come back and reclaim the world record with a time of 21.015 on April 21st. To me, it seems like the manipulation around the rock on all 3 laps is where most of the time save is going to be occurring at this point for further improvements. And if you notice, look at the speedometer here. Once they're off the mushroom and they land onto the rock, their speed boost is preserved. So you would think you're slamming into a rock, you're going to be losing all of your speed, but just to give you guys a little bit of clarity as to why this is actually working, they're preserving their boost speed, so they can manipulate themselves around the rock on all 3 laps. And to be honest, I still don't know how both Bryce and Idris manage these crazy runs, but they are very entertaining to see regardless. Congrats to you both for your improvements this month. We also had an improvement on DS Desert Hills, no shortcut this month. Paul reclaimed the world record from Sosis by almost 0.2, setting a time of 1:34.520 on April 8th. Paul uploaded the run to his channel, and he actually has some detailed feedback in the description of his improvement, along with some of his history with the game overall on his channel, which I'll link in the description below. But just to highlight some of the key points, this is the fastest pace that any player has been into lap 3, and Paul chose a more conservative approach to clutch it out and finish lap 3. And as I mentioned in previous months of this series, if you guys haven't seen those videos, the playlist is in the description below. The biggest time save on this track is going to come from what's called the Lucky Cut or the Wheelie Cut on the Shroom Spot all 3 laps. And I compared it last month versus Sosis' old record, and I think it saves at least 0.2, I would say, per lap. It's a pretty broken strategy if you get it. However, I do want to highlight something that may be overlooked. There is a chain wheelie into laps 2 and 3, and this track is kind of getting to the point where that wheelie on laps 2 and 3 is going to matter a lot more. I think by the time that the players are getting around 134.3 or 0.2 territory, I think both the chain wheelies on laps 2 and 3 are going to be almost mandatory, beyond just getting the wheelie cut 2 or 3 laps. Overall, great run, Paul, and congrats on your improvement. We had another improvement on Grumbo Volcano this month, but this time moving to the no glitch, no shortcut category, where Connor improved upon his former world record by 60 milliseconds, with a time of 1:51.841 on April 12th. Overall, to summarize, getting the low jumps on these mini ramps, minimizing clipping on the dirt throughout each lap, and getting this lucky ramp at the end of each lap is becoming more and more critical the further this time is being improved now. This comparison was great. I want to show you guys the difference of what I really mean with these ramps in particular. Take a look at the end of lap 3. Connor's low jump and his new run made all the difference with improving his run at the very end. And this is a very clear example of how these little nuances, overall, they add up to pivoting whether you'll be improving upon the run or not, especially at this level. There's definitely more time to squeeze out of this run, and I don't think we've seen the last of Connor's improvements here yet. Congrats on your improvement this month. Ending the month of April 2019, we had a sizable improvement on N64 Mario Raceway. Yasha improved upon his former world record by 106 milliseconds with a time of 1:41.358 on April 30th. To me, this run is incredibly clean with no major flaws as far as I can tell. Most of the time save here is going to come down to optimizing these double pipe tricks. Now, in the past, players have been utilizing specifically left side tricks, and I'll explain why. When you do a left side trick, especially on these pipe tricks, your back wheel lands onto the pavement sooner so you're being propelled onto the pavement and you're going a lot faster, thus saving time. Now to me, I always thought that the left side tricks were a little bit faster than the right side trick, but just looking at this a couple of times, it seems that the right side trick is either even with a left side trick or even just very slightly faster. And just to slow down, just seeing this small amount of space you're trying to just jam this trick in and go on and not be sliding up the pipe after you're in your wheelie after each trick is amazing. And to me, it's highly underrated as to how people are doing these tricks. Especially optimizing them like this, it is a lot more difficult than it seems. At this point, from the crazy level that this time is now on this track, I just need to put an honorable mention to these very, very small chain wheelies on all 3 laps. Because now at this point, these are actually adding up, believe it or not. They only last a brief moment, but there's, I believe, 5 of these very small, like half the second to 1 second chains throughout the entire run, and overall, that could be the difference between improving or not. Congrats on your improvement, Yasha. And with that, my fellas, we conclude the world record review of the world record set in April 2019. We set 10 total world records across 6 unique tracks this month. In the first 4 months, guys, 50 world records have been set so far, and each month has had at least 10 or more world record improvements. This has not been matched since 2009, 10 years ago. Wow, crazy. It's been a sincere pleasure reviewing all these times the past couple of months, and I really hope all of you guys have been enjoying this series as well. Now, if you guys would like to see more time trial series coming to the channel, and you want to see more of these videos being pumped out to the new YouTube channel, please subscribe and also give this video a like, as it helps with the growth of the channel, and I appreciate your support so much. Thank you everyone, and I'll be seeing you guys, my fellas, in the next video, where we will review all of the world records set in May 2019. Take care.